Welcome to True Crime Threads. Today we explore the tragic downfall of a police officer caught in a deadly affair. In a quiet suburban town, Officer Mia Rodriguez was the epitome of a dedicated public servant. With a badge pinned proudly to her uniform, she patrolled the streets, ensuring safety and order in the community she loved. Mia had always aspired to be a police officer, drawn to the thrill of the chase and the satisfaction of helping those in need. Her colleagues respected her, and the townspeople admired her commitment. Yet, beneath her confident exterior, Mia struggled with feelings of emptiness and restlessness. At home, she was married to David, a supportive partner who worked long hours at a local construction company. Though they shared a life filled with mundane routines, Mia often felt that their relationship had lost its spark. The daily grind had dulled her sense of adventure, and as time went on, she found herself yearning for excitement. Her dreams of thrilling pursuits and romantic escapades felt like distant memories, overshadowed by the pressures of work and the responsibilities of home. One fateful day, while on patrol, Mia stopped at a local park to take a break. That's when she first noticed Nate, an 18-year-old with an infectious smile and an undeniable charm. He was energetic and carefree, the embodiment of youth, and something about him captivated her. They exchanged friendly banter, and what began as innocent conversations soon morphed into a deepening connection. Mia was taken in by Nate's sense of adventure and his ability to make her feel alive again. Their friendship quickly turned into a secret affair. Meeting in hidden corners of the town, they indulged in the thrill of being together while knowing the risks involved. In Nate, Mia found the excitement she had been missing. He challenged her to let go of her inhibitions and embrace the moment. The late-night rendezvous and stolen kisses ignited a fire within her, a feeling she thought she had lost forever. But as the affair escalated, so did the danger. Mia began to slip away from her responsibilities. Her colleagues noticed her distracted demeanor, but she brushed off their concerns, convinced that she could manage her double life. With each rendezvous, the stakes grew higher, and while Mia reveled in the thrill of being desired, she also felt a nagging sense of dread that her secret could unravel at any moment. The allure of their relationship was intoxicating, but Mia could not ignore the storm brewing on the horizon. As Mia and Nate's affair deepened, the thrill of their secret encounters became both intoxicating and perilous. Each meeting was a dangerous game, filled with the rush of adrenaline that came from sneaking around under the watchful eyes of the community. They would meet at secluded spots, abandoned buildings, the edge of the woods, or even the back of Mia's patrol car during her breaks. The locations felt like hidden sanctuaries where they could escape from the world, if only for a little while. Their chemistry crackled in the air, and every touch felt electric, igniting a passion within Mia that she thought had long been extinguished. But with the excitement came a growing sense of unease. Mia found herself caught in a web of deceit, balancing the demands of her job with the thrill of her secret life. The weight of her double existence pressed heavily on her, causing her to make careless mistakes at work. She often arrived late to shifts, and her normally sharp instincts dulled under the weight of distraction. Colleagues began to notice her erratic behavior. Whispers circulated in the break room, and concern grew among her peers. Yet, each time she received a probing glance, Mia brushed it off, convincing herself that she could handle the situation. Despite the growing pressure, she and Nate pushed the boundaries of their relationship. They shared dreams and fears, exploring the depths of their emotions while pretending that nothing outside their bubble mattered. Nate, with his youthful exuberance, encouraged Mia to embrace life beyond her rigid boundaries. He spoke of adventures, of traveling to places where nobody knew them, where they could be free. His words enchanted her, pulling her further into a world where her responsibilities faded away. However, the exhilaration of their bond began to morph into something darker. Rumors about Mia's relationship with Nate began to swirl in the community, fueled by the observations of envious colleagues and watchful neighbors. It wasn't long before people started to put pieces together, drawing conclusions that threatened to unravel everything Mia had built. As whispers turned into outright speculation, Mia's guilt intensified. She felt trapped, torn between her obligations and her desire for this forbidden love. The fear of being discovered gnawed at her, yet every time she tried to step back from Nate, he would pull her in, promising that their connection was worth the risk. The deeper they sank into this tangled affair, the more Mia realized that escaping would not be as easy as she had hoped. Nate was not just a fleeting thrill, he had become a part of her life, a reflection of the excitement she craved, but also a potential catalyst for her downfall. Each secret meeting, each stolen moment brought them closer together, yet with each passing day, the reality of her choices loomed larger, threatening to explode at any moment. As the days turned into weeks, Mia found herself spiraling deeper into the chaos of her affair with Nate. The thrill of their clandestine relationship had transformed into an overwhelming blend of exhilaration and dread. Although the connection they shared felt genuine, a shadow loomed over Mia, whispering reminders of the life she was betraying. The guilt of her deception weighed heavily on her conscience, and every time she thought of her husband, David, a pang of remorse shot through her heart. The laughter and love they once shared felt like distant memories, overshadowed by the intoxicating passion she had discovered with Nate. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, Mia returned home to find David sitting at the kitchen table, his expression unreadable. The tension in the air was palpable, and she instantly sensed that something was off. As she entered, her heart raced, and her palms grew sweaty. David held her phone in his hand, the screen illuminated with messages that laid bare her betrayal. A wave of panic washed over her, the texts exchanged between her and Nate, filled with flirtation and longing, painted a picture of infidelity that Mia could no longer deny. David's voice trembled as he confronted her, demanding to know how she could choose a fleeting romance over their marriage. The heartbreak in his eyes shattered Mia, and she felt a deep chasm open between them. Her pleas for forgiveness seemed inadequate against the backdrop of her betrayal. She scrambled for words, trying to explain the complexity of her feelings and the thrill that Nate had brought into her life, but she knew that words could not undo the damage done. David's disappointment morphed into anger, and in that moment, Mia felt utterly alone. In a desperate bid to salvage their relationship, Mia vowed to end things with Nate immediately. She thought of the life they had built together and how much she had sacrificed for this moment of clarity. Yet, as she attempted to reach out to Nate, the weight of her decision pressed heavily on her shoulders. Nate was not one to easily let go. He had invested too much emotionally and was not willing to lose Mia without a fight. When she met him later that evening to break the news, his reaction was explosive. Nate's eyes flashed with betrayal and fury as he implored her to reconsider. He saw their relationship as something deeper than a mere fling to him. It was an escape from the mundane life he had always known. As their argument escalated, Mia realized that she was caught in a storm of emotions. Guilt, love, fear, and desperation swirled within her. Their connection had become a double-edged sword, bringing both the thrill she craved and the chaos that threatened to destroy her. Just as the tension reached a fever pitch, a neighbor, who had been watching from afar, stepped outside, drawn by the commotion. With a phone in hand, the neighbor recorded the confrontation, oblivious to the tragedy that was about to unfold. Mia could feel the walls closing in around her, her heart pounding as she realized that this moment could define not only her future but also Nate's. In a heartbeat, everything she had worked for was slipping away, and the cost of her choices loomed large, leaving her to question if she would ever escape the web of her own making. The confrontation between Mia and Nate spiraled out of control, a tempest of raw emotions that left both of them reeling. With the weight of her husband's betrayal heavy on her heart, Mia felt trapped in a whirlwind of conflicting feelings. Nate's desperation to hold on to her fueled a dangerous volatility, and she could sense that the stakes had risen sharply. The air crackled with tension, each word a dagger aimed at the other's heart. Mia struggled to find the right words to calm him down, but nothing seemed to penetrate the storm raging within him. As Mia attempted to reason with Nate, a sense of dread settled in her stomach. She knew he was not the kind of person who easily accepted rejection, especially when emotions ran so high. Despite the whirlwind of passion they had shared, a shadow of possessiveness had crept into Nate's behavior. He had often hinted at the depth of his feelings, and now, with everything hanging in the balance, it felt like he was at the precipice of something irreversible. With every passing moment, the tension escalated, and Mia realized that this encounter was no longer about love or betrayal. It had morphed into a struggle for control. Nate's anger peaked as Mia stood her ground, insisting that they could not continue their relationship. Frustrated tears streamed down her cheeks, a mixture of sadness and fear swirling within her. Just when she thought he might relent, he pulled a knife from his jacket pocket, brandishing it as if it were a lifeline. In a frantic moment, he threatened to harm himself if she walked away. The sight of the weapon sent chills through Mia, forcing her to confront the very real danger in which they both found themselves. The argument, initially fueled by passion, had transformed into a life-or-death situation. The neighbor, who had been recording the unfolding drama, dialed 911 in a panic, sensing that things were escalating far beyond what anyone could handle. As sirens wailed in the distance, Mia felt time slow. The flashing lights that would soon illuminate their confrontation represented not only the authority of law enforcement, but also the imminent collapse of her carefully constructed facade. In a moment of desperation, Mia tried to approach Nate, hoping to disarm the situation with empathy. She reached out, her voice trembling as she implored him to put the knife down. However, the depth of his pain and rage was all-consuming, and he was not ready to hear her pleas. With a surge of emotion, Nate lunged forward, the knife aimed not at himself, but at Mia. Time seemed to freeze as she felt a rush of adrenaline, instinctively stepping back to evade his advance. But fate had other plans. The moment turned tragic as Nate's hand moved too quickly, and in a chaotic flurry, the knife found its mark. A sharp pain erupted in Mia's side, and she gasped in shock, her world spinning as she crumpled to the ground. The piercing cry of sirens grew louder, merging with her fading consciousness as she struggled to comprehend what had just happened. The betrayal, the passion, the rush, everything came crashing down in an instant. As she lay on the pavement, the warm blood pooling beneath her, Mia's thoughts drifted to David, to the life she had abandoned. The irony of her situation stung. The very excitement she had sought had led her to this moment, where everything she valued was slipping away. The chaotic scene around her began to blur, and as darkness encroached, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that she was not just losing her life, but also the chance to ever make amends for the choices that had brought her here. The weight of her decisions pressed down heavily as the reality of her fate closed in. As the news of Mia's tragic encounter spread throughout the community, it sent shockwaves through the town that had once idolized her. The story of the dedicated police officer, beloved by many, now intertwined with the scandal of an illicit affair, became a narrative too compelling to ignore. Local news stations covered the incident extensively, painting a vivid picture of the events leading up to her death. While many mourned the loss of a respected officer, others could not help but scrutinize the circumstances that had led her to this moment. In the aftermath of the incident, the investigation quickly unraveled the tangled web of Mia's double life. As police officers sifted through evidence, they discovered the recorded confrontation captured by the neighbor. The footage revealed a heartbreaking exchange, showcasing not only the desperation in Nate's eyes but also Mia's attempts to reason with him, pleading for calm in a moment charged with tension. It became clear that the confrontation was not merely the result of a momentary lapse but the culmination of a relationship that had spiraled out of control. Nate was arrested at the scene, his face a mask of disbelief and sorrow as he was led away in handcuffs. He had been a promising young man, with dreams and aspirations that now lay shattered at his feet. The police charged him with murder, and as the details emerged, many in the community struggled to comprehend how someone they had known as a vibrant young adult could commit such a violent act. Nate's emotional turmoil became a focal point of the discussions. Had he been pushed too far? had love morphed into something dark and uncontrollable. Meanwhile, David faced the unbearable reality of losing his wife while grappling with the knowledge of her betrayal. The public scrutiny added another layer of anguish as he became the subject of pity and speculation. Friends and family offered condolences, but the whispers about Mia's affair echoed in his mind, complicating his grief. David had loved Mia deeply, and the betrayal felt like a knife to his own heart. He found himself haunted by images of the life they had shared, the laughter that now felt like a cruel memory, and the dreams that would never be fulfilled. As the trial approached, the town remained divided. Some rallied around Mia's memory, calling for justice, while others expressed empathy for Nate, viewing him as a misguided youth rather than a villain. The courtroom became a battleground, with testimonies revealing the complexity of relationships, the weight of decisions, and the consequences that often followed. In the end, the tragedy of Mia Rodriguez served as a cautionary tale, a reminder of how quickly life can change. The once celebrated officer had become a figure shrouded in tragedy, her story marking the lives of those left behind. For David, the pain of loss mingled with anger and confusion, forever altering the landscape of his existence. And for Nate, the thrill of love had transformed into a lifelong consequence that would follow him wherever he went. The aftermath of Mia's choices lingered in the air, a heavy reminder of how love, betrayal, and desperation could intertwine, leading to a devastating end that no one could have foreseen.